31st.
Yeah, let's get them out of the way.
From the 27th. Dawn, under approving the minutes from the week prior, August 20th, is that the week where we corrected the motion for the nursing home committee? So it would be minutes as corrected? Under tax sale, Dawn, you'll want an S on questions, plural. I don't see anything else.
I would entertain a motion for the meeting, the 27th meeting.
So move as corrected.
Second.
There's no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The 31st.
I move to approve minutes from August 31st, 2018 as presented.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
There's no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have some correspondence here. Good news, I guess you could say. We were the 6th lowest on the loss ratio of all the K-Camp counties. So we should get a little money back, I think. And also, they're wanting us to name a voted delegate for the annual meeting. I believe are you still thinking you're
I'll
going to
go. Is it November or October? I think.
October 15th.
Okay.
Were you going to? Yeah. Okay. I would move to appoint Alexis Blue as the voting delegate to K-Camp for the annual meeting.
Do you want to include paperwork with AAC?
That's a Monday.
Excuse me?
Do you want to include paperwork with AAC?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that all day on one day?
It's several days.
Okay, but it starts on a
Be
Monday?
3 days, probably.
Well, that their particular meeting is probably in the late afternoon of Thursday.
We can cancel that Monday meeting.
Yeah, or I could maybe do it over the phone. I
See, does it get
guess we have
it?
some time to decide, but,
Let me see what
It's at 5:30 p.m.
oh.
We can play that by ear, I guess, as far as the meeting goes.
Okay.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Did you add K work and
Yes.
Okay.
It's, yeah, Kay works there too. They also want to know if we want to nominate someone for a couple of districts, but I don't know anyone in those districts, so.
Although, did you send it out?
yes.
Yes, I did.
Sorry, I was.
Did we already vote on this resolution, Don, or do we need to vote?
You voted to add it, but you'll need to do the resolution. Or adopt the resolution. It says it's October 15th through the 17th. is the conference.
So those 3 days, probably all day long then. If it, maybe they just scheduled their meeting at the end of the first day. I have that flyer somewhere.
This Kay work meeting is directly following the Kay camp meeting.
That same evening.
Same room, same.
I move to approve resolution 2018-17.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
I second.
Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Don, you want to visit with us for a while?
Yeah, I left my notepad upstairs, so let me just, I guess I want to just keep pushing for something to be done about the courthouse instead of it just getting forgot, so I want to know where do you want to go next and what you guys want done. Are we going to decide what you want to do for sure, and then who all do we want involved? Like, do we want to try to find an architect to help us figure out if the jury room, building a new jury room is what your thoughts are, or,
I guess I think there's two at least things that we need to have someone look at. One would be jury room. number two would be this building out here. I think we need to do something to utilize that building in some way.
Does it have any air conditioning or heating right now?
It does, but I believe it's gas, and we cut the gas line when they redid the drainage, and
So we're not controlling any temperature at the moment for any purpose?
no.
It has a bathroom, and I'm not sure where that hooks in, you know. When they replaced the line to the jail, didn't they bore all the way underneath the parking lot and stuff?
I'm not.
And I don't know if that was attached to that line, or if it's attached to the line coming into the courthouse.
Okay.
I would guess that someone's gonna have to run a camera down there and see where it goes.
The sewer line for the sewer.
The other thing we probably need to do is get a bid, at least, an estimate on moving all of the, because you had a wiring issue, right?
Yeah.
So to rewire to that other room, that'll definitely have to be
They'll
done.
also probably do need a computer line over there.
So I didn't know where, but it doesn't make sense for us to, I mean, it almost makes sense for us more to at least get a bid for her and get her going if that's what the direction we want to go in.
Well, my only thing would be on that is if we're going to move driver's license across the hall, whatever moves into that room, we need to make sure whatever we're doing in there is gonna be adequate. If we go to human resources in that room, that whatever we do then is gonna be adequate for human resources. And it's an electrical issue, correct?
Yes, when the camera goes off, or when the printer goes off, the lights suck down and blink and do weird things.
How many outlets? You got any idea about number of outlets?
Well, all that goes into one outlet, because then the other outlet's somewhere behind the radiator.
Who looked at it? Anyone yet?
Street plumbing looked at it. But I figure that's void if we go to another room, so I just wanted to make sure what we're doing before I call anybody.
Right.
But my problem is, Dawn's got elections coming, and she's gonna be working hard to get the taxes over to me as soon as she can, and once that happens, that's all we do, the month of November. That is all we do, other than wait on whoever comes through the door. Because it takes us a long time to process the tax.
So September, you could,
September,
I mean,
we're good.
so-
September, we are good.
do you think, are you capable of making a list of everything that you need done in the new
I think
room?
probably better add some plugins.
Do what?
Probably better add some plugins. You have a computer in there now.
In the driver's license room, yeah.
But
And cameras and
are you on the
printers.
same computer setup that we are, or does that go to the state?
That goes to the state, doesn't it? It goes directly to the state.
So we'll have an issue there, correct?
I think as long as they're they pull the wires and plug everything into the correct ports, they'll be fine. But so we'll need to but we will need, it doesn't hurt to have, Next Tech is who has done all of our networking lately, and that's who I feel confident and comfortable with, honestly. So we'll get a price from them to network that place and then see what it would take to move her equipment over.
I think so.
And we have to get bids for the actual electrical work, so if you can make a job description for it, like this is what all I need done to this room, it has to be able to do this, and then have,
I will probably need some techie help with that, but we can get it figured out.
even if street comes first, and they help you with that part, and then we just make sure we get at least one additional bid, if not two, would be good.
Yeah, I think.
And I think that whatever her problem is probably more so the type of equipment that they have, that I don't think a computer and a printer is gonna have too much of a strain for a
You mean for
human
the-
resource
yeah.
officer. Because we wouldn't have a massive printer, we just have a normal office printer for them.
You
Yes,
probably
the
have
camera.
constant draw in there, you leave stuff on, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that,
But it really, the only time we notice it is when the camera goes off, and then immediately it prints a report, both those things.
So where do you want to move forward with the jury room? How, do we want to look at an architect to consider building and heating and air and electrical networking, designing a project? Or, I don't know where we go. I don't know what we do.
I think we probably should. At least to do some kind of preliminary assessment.
dude, maybe we should, I mean, if we have a few companies that may be interested in a project like that, we went upstairs and looked at the courtroom, and there's a storage room behind the courtroom where a faux wall has been put in behind the pews of the courtroom. And so we were talking about probably the simplest and less expensive choice is to actually build a new jury room in that space instead of putting an office, because then you're not as worried about outlets, power, and keeping it hot or cold as often, because it would only be in use temporarily from time to time. The problem is our experience with architects is that they charge as much as the actual project just to produce these plans that, in the case of the nursing home, have already been altered. So I would think that with a simple kind of construction project, somebody's company should be able to.
Would Brennan Johnson be able to draw up some plans?
Who?
Brennan Johnson. I mean, I know he's very good at what he does, but I don't know if he gets that in depth. I can find out though.
I just think it wouldn't hurt to at least contact some companies who may be interested. That's not a huge project to just reconstruct a room within a room. None of those walls have to be supporting walls. Nothing has to be
And I
extraordinary.
actually think if we get that other room and all the stuff is cleaned out of the vault and the closet, I think we can get all of our tax rolls, all of the general ledgers, and clean out. And we've already started cleaning out the storeroom.
Oh, good. And are you comfortable with moving everything of yours into the room beside you?
Yes, but we still have Jerry next door. So either we need to get moving on that to see. I thought for him maybe the ideal place would be
Across the hall.
Yeah, the little mapping room. But
Do we need motions for this stuff, or how do you want to do it? Because I think those are probably some of the first things we need to do.
As long as we don't hire someone, I don't think we necessarily need a motion.
as far as like
Maybe
moving
you just need to
kids
say this
working
is
on-
what we're doing.
Yeah.
What's that?
Do you
You
think
just say
we
this
could
is what
start-
we're doing.
Yeah.
Can we just use like the commission room table and something like that for the initial desk in that HR room, and just kind of make it bare and just give the essentials and see where we go from there? Because depending on who's in there, they may not want anything different, or they may have, we don't want to, I don't think we should necessarily just furnish it. Let the person come in and say they need this much cabinets or, filing space, or,
I think we ought to contact him, Johnson, and see if he could develop a plan. See if he's comfortable with doing it without an architect or
where's he from?
here.
Well, actually, he's from Nebraska, but he lives here now.
Yeah. But I think at the same time, I think we ought to look at this building out here, get an idea of what it would take to,
Okay.
For who? For who to go out there?
I would,
Potentially, we talked about emergency management.
I think David
Because
should go out there.
we're gonna, the way I understood it, unless I'm wrong, we're gonna have the county attorney utilize both the jury room where it is now and that small office. And then find a new way to put the jury in the back of the courthouse, in the courtroom.
I think it'd be a lot more room for emergency management if we moved them out there to the building.
Where are we going with the files that, the big cabinets are in the jury room? Well, what was the thoughts?
Jennifer and Taylor talked about just taking, well, that's the problem, moving her files into a different filing system somewhere in their space.
Yeah, I wonder if we wouldn't be better off if, Jennifer's got files stored back in the jury room too. We just leave those files,
And buy
put
new
new ones
cabinets?
in, and that would get Jennifer's files out of that jury area.
She
or
can
the
file all her old
storage
stuff
room.
and current stuff. That one is 15 feet long,
Yeah.
and it's not going to go anywhere else because it's 3
And that
feet
would
deep.
get her stuff out of the storage room too.
Okay. So, in filing systems in Taylor's office and not out in the courtroom?
Well, they talked
or-
about her purchasing something different.
Yeah.
Okay.
The county attorney could literally purchase that system that's there from the court, the clerk of courts, and then they purchase a new one.
Okay.
So it would kind of just pass from one to the
Those are
other.
gonna have to be taken apart and be moved.
Yeah.
And maybe
The
there's,
expense of having that done, I think you'd probably be better off is get her files out of that storage area.
Does she have any space in her office to put new files?
there's definitely that corner.
That
Where they
corner
were
there.
at before.
And then previously there was a little wall, the door that comes out of her office directly into the courtroom. There had been a short wall there,
Well, like a hallway.
and that was a hallway going into the courtroom, which could be short, if you needed space, we could put a short wall, you'd have to leave the
If
traffic
she could
area.
find something that wasn't so deep, that maybe just wall cabinetry, you wouldn't need all that. So those things up there are gigantic, but of course they hold a lot.
Yeah, and they're times two, so they rotate, so.
But there's no end cap. Like even if you were to take them apart, I didn't see an end cap to close them off if you were to separate them.
Right, but we could separate them, we just have to buy the
Then you
end
can buy
caps.
the end caps.
Or put the one against the wall. I suppose you could put the open end against the wall.
But if you're gonna, excuse me, go to the expense of moving them and buying end caps, you might as well buy files.
Right. And
Yeah,
they're
she
and they're
needs
so
them
deep.
too.
They're deep that it just didn't. I don't think they would fit in the room. There's one in that room already.
Okay, so they're probably legal size rather than letter sized.
I bet about that. Yeah.
That's why, okay.
Deep garage.
So I'll
maybe
ask her
Taylor
where
can do
she's
her own
at.
research as far as finding a different filing system.
Okay.
But first, probably we need to get your room set up because we do intend on making a hire to go into the other room, and we don't want to move them into there and then swap. I wouldn't think you'd want to get in there first. And the other thing that needs to happen right away is to get Jerry into the other office so that you can get your stuff out of there.
Okay.
I would say that's the first swap.
So I will get the appraiser's office working on cleaning out that room.
Do you want to ask her to come down, and we'll?
I
That
can,
would be a good
I'll
idea.
go.
And if you want to get a hold of the streets and have them come up and,
Bid the other room,
yeah.
and then I have two numbers from
And
Sharon.
also, I would say that the bid in your room is gonna need to change probably to add some outlets. If, or move the one that's behind the radiator, one of the other.
Yeah, and it might not be as intense if
Yeah.
they just need plug-ins and not
Yeah.
this weird
They're not
enormous
gonna be running
system.
any big equipment. Is that, is there an air conditioner in there now? Is it a 220 or is it a 220? And you're not having any problem with the 220 side, is it?
good morning.
We're going to do some rearranging. We're wanting to move Jerry over into that little room we got there. I don't know what's in that room or what needs to be me moved or if we need to make accommodations for something, but,
Well, we did kind of discuss things that day, and what we ended up discussing, the plotter we could move, or we was gonna try to leave in there since we didn't use that much.
Well, I think you guys said that you were gonna try to move it in there, but I kinda wonder if we rearranged and got rid of that dot matrix, if we could put it on that one wall. We just had that plotter in your office.
Yeah, we'd have to do some really, internet or, computer refiguring and stuff, but there's that one big heavy cabinet that's just gonna have to stay in there. It's got the old Mylar maps.
but I don't think that's probably good.
He doesn't use that much space, does he?
No.
It's more like
Need a
workspace
desk.
if he,
We have I had found it at Office Max, like really, really cheap on clearance, but it's like a big, L shape. But I think that might be too big for that office. We may have to find an actual smaller desk.
He really doesn't need that much.
What
Yeah,
if-
file
It's
cabinet.
just a spot.
Yeah, file cabinet.
He has one file cabinet and a computer, and he has two, one tall file cabinet and one small 2-drawer cabinet, which is his drawer cabinet.
can we take the desk from the commission room and give it to him and use that big desk in the HR room?
Big table.
I think the big table might be too big for that office. It's not very big. But yes, we could use that
That other
L-shaped.
desk could go down to that end office though, for the new
Yes.
person.
Absolutely. And it might be a good work system. And then you would just buy some drawers to put
Extra
underneath.
cabinets or whatever, filing cabinets.
And we may
You
have.
think the table in there is too
I
big to go
might have
down?
a filing cabinet.
Yeah, because if I don't take that big mapping
Upstairs.
deal out of there.
I think we're expecting you to just get everything out. You have a huge office, and I think there should be room to reconfigure.
It's the one cabinet that,
That great big Mylar cabinet that, if we take, I don't know where we'd go with it if we took it out of there, but it's permanently based on a platform deal in there.
Like it's screwed into the floor.
Well, it's not into the floor, but it's on a platform base deal. If it comes out of there, it'd have to go someplace besides our office.
Why is that?
Because in our office, we were not gonna have room for that. If we put the
yeah,
plotter
the
on
wall
the,
space.
yeah, we don't have enough wall space.
They're in part of that curve, so their curvature, it's as big as this, well,
Well, it's-
maybe not as big as this table, but as wide.
You just have to come up and look what I'm talking about, because, yeah.
Well, I think at one point we even talked about maybe cutting your counter space short. You could have wall space on this, would that be the west wall? I mean, how often do you have people lined up at your counter the whole 10 feet or whatever that is?
In
12 feet.
January to March, we do.
So you could use, so if you turned it into an L, you could still have that same space, and then you'd have wall space on the west wall that no
Well,
one
if
needs
we
to be
put-
behind it.
But if we put the plotter on the west wall,
We just have to look.
yeah. If we put the plotter on the west wall,
Could that cabinet maybe come to the computer room? Because it wouldn't necessarily need as much.
well, that could be.
Is that where your storage is gonna be?
And maybe the plotter could go over there too, if we are really gonna use that room just as storage.
Is the plotter the one that's like the big, high up off the end?
Yeah, the one on the east wall.
It's just finding walls.
Well, we were kind of saying the first step in moving everything is that switch on this end and the switch they're going to do with the little offices on the other end. So before we get moving on moving the county attorney or anything like that, we kind of need to get that rearranged, and we expect to hire an HR person soon. So we were talking about getting some bids and seeing what needs done with the electrical work. So if you have something that needs done, maybe you could just add that in there.
I just realized I didn't have that interview on the agenda.
I saw that too, because I forgot what time it is, 2 p.m.
Yeah. Sorry. It's like a light bulb going off. Oh, God. Jeez. I was just excited to get it done. The agenda and the minutes.
Okay.
Okay, well, I think we have a plan of attack, and then we'll,
And I'll call Brennan and have him visit with you and see if we can make a plan. Or if he wants somebody else to make the plan, what he's.
And come up, see if you can at least come up and look at it.
Who else do we have locally that,
I think there's some,
Streets in general, contractor.
well, and I think there's some people in Sylvan, but I don't know,
No brothers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
could you put together just a job description of these are the general things we want done? Not that you have to know the details about any of the jargon, but
Well, how about you guys put a list together of what you want to see for
I
the
will.
jury room? And
Yeah.
how you would like it, like protruding out? Is it going to be lengthways? How would that sound? And so that I know what your thoughts are. And then we will work on the list of like electrical, air conditioning, computer networking. The jury
That's
room's
true.
the one that I'm not sure. I don't know if you guys are wanting it to come out or if you're wanting it to be lengthways
I
or.
think it would be back in the storage area.
Terry, if these are the
Yeah, 'cause
pews
that's like
and this is
we'll
that
have
big
air
false wall
conditioning.
in the back and there's the room to get into all the storage.
I'm not sure about
What if we did this
register how well
and
it
put a
works.
door to get to storage this way and just move this door back? That way you could separate that and you could still walk through there, but you have two, all you have to be doing is putting another false wall and kind of just making that deep enough for a door, 32
But
inch
we
to
could do it.
34
I'm
inch.
not sure where the best place for them to do it.
We did talk about this corner
I would say the jury room would go over here.
and then they can go straight back. Then you don't have to mess with that.
And that
That's
way,
true.
you know, she says at times she needs access to this area. So that would give her access to all that area at the time.
And we would just be going straight back with a wall and not building anything out into the existing courtroom?
I don't think so.
How wide are you thinking you want this room?
Well, I
And
would
I
say
Well,
it
you
needs to
figure
be.
we have 3.5 feet of cabinet space that can't be used in the current jury room, so whatever the rest of that width is in that room is plenty for the table that's in there.
I would say something similar to what we are utilizing right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the heating and cooling is another thing. I think we need to look at the split, what are they called? You told me.
Split systems is
Yeah.
all I can
Yeah.
think of them. That's like
Yeah.
what the sheriff's office has.
Because then we don't have to do anything with the storage area, just through the window in the new jury room.
Okay.
'Cause it, you know,
So just the
And we
split
talked-
system
it
for the
gets
one
used-
room?
It gets used
And
once
then-
every 2 years, basically.
Yeah. And then eventually, we talked about cutting off the boiler system to the 3rd floor, which would reduce, you know, the pull on that and just doing split systems in each room. But you could start just with that one room and see how it works.
Okay. Got it. I understand a little bit better. Okay, I know you guys have appointments, so that's
Thank
probably
you.
enough
We
for
got-
today.
We got to start in here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sheriff Weigel, running a little behind, are you still here? Patiently waiting?
Yeah, I'm on the clock. I request an executive session.
For,
Non-elected personnel,
Yes,
how long?
15 minutes.
15. I'd move we go into executive session. Who do you want? You and Dustin.
Dustin.
You need the clerk, or we don't have a human resource anymore.
No, it'll be fine.
Sheriff, deputy sheriff, commissioners, 15 minutes to deal with non-elected personnel.
Do I have a second? I'll second.
We have to have a second justification. That's the first one is non-elected personnel. Are we talking about a raise or a disciplinary issue or a hiring issue?
Just an issue.
I don't think we can write issue.
How would we put this? Just an issue with another department head in reference planning.
Interdepartment communication issue.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that, Dawn, did you catch that one? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
With no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. David, you're up.
Could I make a motion to go into executive session for number 13 or number 12 on your county form to discuss matters related to security measures? Security measures include, but are not limited to, intelligence, information, tactical plans, resource deployment, and vulnerability assessments. I'd like to go into executive session for 10 minutes.
I'd so move.
Have a motion, go into executive session for 10 minutes for the stated reasons. Do I have a second? I'll second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Okay, so you said special response team gets funding from Homeland Security for training.
Correct.
But then if they're
They're
deployed,
deployed.
they are paid by their
It's
individual
mutual aid. It's mutual aid. It's still,
mutual aid that you apply for?
no, their home agency is still paying for that unless it's an extended amount of time. Then that rolls
So
into
their
the
employer pays their time
Correct.
on that.
deployment
So
unless
if you
it's over.
choose, if your own law enforcement agency chooses to have one or more people participate in the SRT team, or SRT, then if and when that person is called out for something, we pay.
Correct, correct. Yeah, the packet of paperwork is just my normal monthly update on what I've been doing. July 24th and 25th, I finished my fourth two-day session.
Maybe this is Dawn's. I had an extra one of these too.
Okay, that's why I couldn't find it, thank you.
I have this.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That actually was on there.
Okay. July 24th and 25th, I finished my fourth two-day session of the Foundations of Emergency Management, L0101 class that was only taught in Emmitsburg, Maryland at EMI, which is Emergency Management Institute, but was allowed to be taught by KDAM for the first time. August 5th, I responded to a pasture grass fire that happened in the 1800 block of North 220th Road in Barnard's Fire District. Agencies that responded on this date were Barnard, Beverly, Westfall, and Lincoln. Lincoln EMS also responded for hydration purposes. August 6th through the 10th, I attended the All Hazards Incident Management Team Academy in Salina and participated in a supply unit leader, facility unit leader, and ground support unit leader workshop for the first 3 days. These classes are all tied into the NIMS program of ICS structure. On Thursday, as I am on the equipment committee for the All Hazard Incident Management Team, I assisted in showing different pieces of equipment that the region had within the state. And on Friday, I participated in a tabletop exercise. August 6th, I attended the Barnard City Council meeting and presented them with the information on the storm sirens. The mayor was not in attendance on this day, and the council moved to vote on this item at the next meeting. After I attended the Barnard City Council meeting, I then went to the Beverly City Council meeting and presented the information about the storm sirens. They voted in favor that if the grants get written and the proposed project moves forward, they would be willing to annually pay the repeater board the proposed $300. Richard Ansel attended the Hunter City Council meeting and presented the storm siren information. The City Council voted in favor of the project and also said they would be willing to annually pay the repeater board the proposed $300 when the project is completed. August 13th, I attended the Sylvan Grove City Council meeting and presented them with the information on the storm sirens. They voted in favor that if the grants get written and the proposed budget moves forward, they would be willing to annually pay the repeater board the proposed $300. August 14th, I attended the Vesper Community Center meeting and presented them information about the storm siren being placed by the Community Center in Vesper. And then I also communicated with the board on the plans for the LEPC to utilize the venue for the zombie event on October 27th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. The board voted and said that they would participate, and we're, again, looking forward to being involved with the community event. August 15th, I attended open enrollment at the Sylvan USD 299 School District to ensure that parents with children starting the district were signed up for the notifications from the school district if they utilize the civic rating, as they utilize the civic rating platform. August 17th, being appointed as one of the North Central KEMA, Kansas Emergency Management Association representatives, I attended the North Central Healthcare Coalition meeting in Salina. Items of discussion were that the portable water filtration system is still at Salina Regional Health Center, even after it was agreed to be moved to Beloit as a more central location. I suggested before the unit gets moved that at the next meeting there should be some just-in-time training for all of the members of the North Central Healthcare Coalition Committee to take back to their counties. KDHE has made All Clear Management Group, LLC, the agency that will be filling the regional coordinator position for 3 of the Homeland Corrections Healthcare Coalition regions in Kansas. They have yet to have interviews for the coordinator position, and until this is completed, the interim coordinator is Jenny Schwartzer with the All Clear Emergency Management Group. There will be a tabletop exercise in Lincoln on March 20th of 2019 being put on by the North Central Healthcare Coalition. There was discussion about the NIMS ICS updates. FEMA is in the process of updating all the NIMS ICS requirements as what was reported at our last Healthcare Coalition meeting. The state training officer has been going around and providing information for the updates so folks can start anticipating the changes in the past. NIMS ICS was more of a merit badge. I need this for my job or a promotion type of request, instead of focusing on the true content of NIMS. They are shifting focus and changing the progression of who needs to take what based on the level of responsibility rather than their agency rank or title. Training needs to grow based on that individual's role and the level of incident complexity that the authority have jurisdiction is prepared for. With that said, there are over 70 courses that need updated, and so far only 6 or 7 are complete. There are also some other items need to be finalized from the state's end, so those have not been all ironed out yet. Here's the projected changes. All responders would still need to have 100 and 700. Incident level personnel who have a leadership role need to have the 200, which have online delivery, but will strongly be encouraged to take it in a 2-day classroom setting. The 300 and the 400 courses are the biggest change, with the 300 becoming a 3-day course. The 400 will only be delivered on a regional basis, and anyone who signs up for it, the request will come to the local emergency management to vet for the person as a significant leadership role on scene or in the emergency operations center. In a nutshell, what they are trying to prevent is the cafeteria manager at a hospital being in an ICS 400 class because they have to, because they were told to. KDM also talked to KDHE about these updates, and obviously there will have to be some realignment with some grant requirements, certifications, etc. on several governmental levels. This will be a big change, but a change in the right direction. Stay tuned, there will still be more to come down as decisions are made. August 22nd, I attended the North Central KEMA meeting in Salina. Kendra Pratt from Child Care Aware presented information to emergency management on what the program can do for licensed daycare providers in your communities, and the local health department in each county should have that information available to anyone requesting that type of information. October 11th, Smith County is hosting a tabletop in the basement of the courthouse from 5:30 to 8:30 that evening. There will be State of Kansas Search and Rescue conference/training going on in Salina from October 17th to 19th, and North Central KEMA group was asked to assist with accountability. The first day of the conference will be in Salina with several breakout sessions and keynote speakers, and the second and the third days will be out at Crisis City. There will be a tabletop in Ottawa County on Wednesday, October 24th, 2018, with Module 1 to be jointly completed prior to the tabletop. This will be discussed at the Quarterly Chiefs meeting in Denmark, scheduled for Tuesday, September 4th at 7 o'clock, hosted by the Denmark Fire Department. In addition to the module information being completed prior to the tabletop, there was a request for PSAP, Public Safety Access Point supervisors, to attend this exercise. There will be North Central PSAP meeting in Clay Center on November 1st at 10 o'clock in the emergency manager's office.
Who is to attend this tabletop exercise in Lincoln on March 20th?
I shouldn't say anybody, but you as a county commissioner, or LaDonna will be there, Katie Gardner, the representative from the hospital will be there, hopefully law enforcement, again, anybody. The better representation, the better.
Our health board probably should be,
I'm sorry?
the county, what's it called? Health board? What is our health board called? Lincoln County, remember there's like
Board of Health.
maybe that's what it is, Board of Health. We have one annual meeting, and so maybe that would be a good
And again,
invite.
it'd be good for representation from the health department, or from the Lincoln Park Manor. I would assume Kristen or someone from there would be in attendance. So. Any other questions for me?
I don't.
We need to make an announcement that is canceled.
Yeah.
I just think, I would say in relation to that, David, that it is extremely important that from the onset, you involve the departments that are going to be greatly affected, and I think that would solve a lot of the problems. I mean, initially, to do that. I just think people need to know early, and I think maybe that's where we dropped the ball a little bit, and I'm not sure whose fault it was, but I think we just need to make sure that everybody's on board before we get too far into the project.
Anything else?
No, I don't think so. We're gonna cancel the proposed exercise for October the 8th.
Can you hear, Dawn? I can't hear with this air conditioner behind me, so I don't know what you're catching.
I can hear
Okay.
it. It's like so rigid, so it's
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
I do have a question before you go. Have you already applied for funding for that, or what happens monetarily?
Nothing.
Was there supposed to be, do you apply separately for funding for something like this, or how does that work?
With the HMEP grant that has yet to come out from FEMA, and Kansas was waiting on that to get back, you have to have an exercise. It doesn't matter what type. It has got to be a tabletop, a full scale, or a functional exercise. One a year, and then you have to be involved in 2 other ones throughout the year also.
We have one this year already?
No, we haven't. And I was
That's what
hoping.
you had scheduled for 2018.
Was hoping, but
And what is the dollar amount associated with that grant?
last year it was $7,700 that
Okay.
that they paid into.
And so is that built into your budget for 2018 that you're expecting?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
That's what I wondered.
Yeah.
We can put something together, can
I can still. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you cold too?
I am cold.
It's getting cold in here. Are you cold?
No, but
You're not.
I won't be cold.
Maybe you're not sitting where the blows directly on you.
I just turned it down a little so it's not as loud.
That's way better.
And
We can
then,
blow it that direction.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
try.
fine.
If I'm not getting the brunt of it, Mr. Wallace says, I'm not sure which direction it's going, but,
that's one of the
Yeah,
things
up would
that
be
I-
good.
Up.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Lot
Thank
better.
you.
Okay, we have Sylvan Senior Center on the agenda.
Commissioner
Morning.
Finch, Commissioner Wallace, Commissioner Flute. Today we're here before you for the Sylvan Senior Center, representing them because the audit is now complete. And our audit report, I see Mr. Wallace has one out. And so the agreement was, or the comment was, that once the audit is complete, we would receive our funding. So we are here to ask for 17, balance of 17, and all of 18 at this time.
What is that dollar amount?
Mr. Lovelace stated last week was 4,000 for 17 balance, and 18 was 8,000. So a combined total of 12,000.
I guess I'll start. As I stated before, I am not in favor of fully funding the organizations. I think the fundraising part of it needs to be utilized. I'm not against releasing some funds, but I'm not for releasing 100% of the budgets for the entities, either one.
And I will say,
Not picking on any.
no, I know. And I will say that we've continued fundraising. We've got 70, 80, 90-year-old people working concession stands. And we've survived without funding because of their efforts.
Well, I applaud you. I'm not trying to be critical of
No,
you.
I'm not either.
I'm talking about the Lincoln Senior Center. I don't think that we need to fund 100% of their budgets.
I understand.
I will just interject. Terry, I agree with that wholeheartedly. But looking at the years that have already gone by, we did approve budgets that were brought to us by the Council on Aging. I was here, and they brought us budgets that included the Sylvan Senior Center and the Lincoln Senior Center, and that's why we distributed funds to the Council on Aging. So retroactively, we had already agreed to this. Now, into the future, I don't see 100% of the funding being available as far as each entity getting full approval from the commission out of that particular mill levy. It's actually been a tax break for the citizens to not utilize the 2 full mills that there's authority to tax. So, I mean, I think we've been using, it's been about not quite 1.5 mills instead of 2 the last several years. But we have fully funded the Lincoln Senior Center for these years that you're talking about. Well, not the current year, 18, but for 17, yes. And so the remainder of what would be due to Sylvan and Lincoln, we did withhold from the Council on Aging because they had not distributed, well, they hadn't distributed any payments to you, and they had distributed about, what, approximately 50% to the other senior center?
Probably a little bit more than that, Lincoln Senior Center in February.
I think it was 15,000, they
They
said.
didn't receive anything in June.
We actually withheld the entire second distribution, didn't we, Don?
Which is 40%.
And I will agree that the senior citizens are also taxpayers. And so if the need isn't there for all of it, it also lightens the burden on the taxpayers. And that's a good thing. That's a win-win for both of us.
I agree. I do see the importance, though, in this retroactive payment. Terry, I agree full-heartedly with what you said going into the 2019 budget. I mean, we're going to have to make some decisions as to what percentage we're funding of what you turn into us as far as what you think your operating budget is going to be. But retroactively, the commission placed the responsibility on the Council on Aging to fund these organizations, and they have been doing that for decades. And them withholding funds was all just a charade that had nothing to do with actually funding the budgets. Because if they had full intent on funding the budgets, they would have just given that money out. It's sitting in a bank account. We've been taxing everyone in the county for the Council on Aging to hoard a bank account that has been upwards of $100,000 at times.
It's getting spent down this year.
The other thing I'll say that one of the recommendations they had to the senior center from the audit was QuickBooks. And Don Harlow had given me the TechSoup link. I did go to it several months ago. They did have to review some things. They approved it. They sent me the link to Intuit. It's non-functional. And I've contacted TechSoup several times after that. They never respond. So we're going to have QuickBooks. We're going to end up buying it. Because
Did they send you a
they sent me a link.
link? Okay. And then you downloaded it, and then they should
No.
have sent you...
No.
Okay.
I went to the link and the web page is not available. So we're just, with the frustration, we're just going to buy our QuickBooks. And for $5 a month over and above the cost of QuickBooks, we can go on the cloud, and then we can have 2 people at a remote site if they want, treasurer and whoever else can take care of the books and review information reports. And that was recommended by the audit company.
But I think sometime before this distribution of funds for the 2019 budget, I think that there needs to be some sort of clear cut that tax money can be used for this, but it can't be used for that. I think there needs to be some, and I think if you read in that report, it even says that there needs to be the tightening of the language for whatever adds to what the funds can be used for and what they can't be used for.
Yeah, we had two things on ours. One was QuickBooks, the other one bank reconciliation. And then above the recommendation, it stated, it recommended the invoices and receipts they should really be attached to our checks or whatever, and they weren't. And we do need to do a better bookkeeping system, I agree. And we hope to get it so where we can also analyze what each function
Well,
is.
from what I read in the audit, all three entities have
Yeah.
the same recommendations
Yeah.
for the way they're keeping books. So,
And I think that's, like I said before this whole process started, nobody's going to jail here. Let's just get on the same page so everybody's doing everything the right, same way as far as counting goes and stuff like that. No one is, if the audit wasn't done to investigate some kind of criminal activity, it's just that you guys had your way of doing it, Lincoln had their, Senior Center had their way of doing it, Council on Aging had their way of doing it, and everybody needed to somehow get on the same page.
Right.
I think QuickBooks, I think it's a great idea.
I'm not-
I talked about it before, and everybody was against it.
what is
Well,
the
I think
cost of
it-
QuickBooks?
It's going to be like $249.
249.
Yeah, and then $5 a month going to go to cloud, and that's nonprofits a little bit more than others. Not to justify what happened in the past as far as bookkeeping, but when you have rotation of treasurers, you have senior citizens, you do have. We just need the standard policy, and people need to comply with it.
I agree.
I move to distribute the second payment of 2018 mill levy for the elderly funds directly to Sylvan Senior Center and Lincoln Senior Center in the amounts of $12,000 and $16,500.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion here?
I have a problem. We don't have the 2017 money. This is 2018 money.
Yes.
And I guess the 2017 money you want is in the Council of Aging's account. And that's where it should come. So I can't support that motion. I also, as I read this audit report, I am concerned that that money doesn't seem to always be used for things that we need to have a set policy what's been used for. And I have, even as I look at the books of everybody, I question whether, as Terry said, that there is a standard policy for what that money is being used for. I have no problem in paying your insurance, your utilities. I do begin to have problems when I start paying for programs and for other kinds of things. I want justification for those. The rent and that kind of stuff, I have no problem with. I think you deserve a place to meet. But certainly we have got to have those receipts. We've got to know how that money's spent. And I guess if I criticize the Council on Aging more, I would say that that is one of the areas that they fell down in and not demanding and not insisting. They seem to be more insistent on who was there and how many were there.
Yes.
I am more concerned about how that money was spent than I am who was there.
But I have a question. why is it that you're saying that you're concerned about it being spent for programs and you're not concerned about it paying for the insurance when the mill levy that the public passed specifically says programs? If anything, we should be concerned that we're funding the actual structures and not funding the programs, because when the
If
mill
you
levy...
don't have the structures, you can't have the programs. And
Then
the
why-
structures are, I think, are more critically important. I think those programs, a lot of those programs can be free. They don't need to cost a lot of money. But if you don't have a good building for people to be there and stuff, the senior centers can't operate.
But I'm just confused as to why we're having this conversation when the total distribution to the Sylvan Senior Center in a given year for the past several years has been around $3,000. If you're talking about not having a problem funding their operation as far as their building, that barely paid the insurance and the utilities. Anything above and beyond that wasn't even available for them to spend.
I cannot deal with past history. I'm dealing with what is presently in our account and what I presently want that money spent.
But we are dealing with past history because we already distributed the money to the Council on Aging, who did not then in turn distribute it to the groups and the buildings that are facilitating these programs. And if you read the resolution that was passed, 3 of them, 2 of the 3, we can't find the first one, right, Dawn? We don't have the first one, but we have the other 2, and they specifically say programs for the elderly. And that actually does not say that we are able to utilize that money to pay someone's salary, to pay health insurance benefits, to pay rent, to pay electricity. It doesn't say that. It says to pay for programs. So those programs for the elderly have yet to truly be facilitated other than from within the senior centers.
I don't think
So-
that's referring to actual programs.
That's the exact word.
May I make a comment? Mr. Wallace, as far as like the concession stand, that's our own.
That's your
side.
money. I don't have any problem with
Right.
that. All I have problem with is the money that is distributed. I want it in a separate account. I want to know
Right.
exactly where it went. I want backup receipts for that.
Yeah, the other thing is,
The rest of it, I don't care.
But again, I'm
You can buy beer
confused.
with it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I'm
well-
confused because the representatives that we have in front of us are representing an organization that only received enough money to pay their operational overhead, which would be utilities and insurance and structural things that they received. They did get some tables and chairs, etc. The other entities that have received this money from us have an excess of funds that they've been able to utilize over and above their overhead expenses. So if anyone needs this critiquing, it's not the actual group that is before us today.
my comment would be, if at the end of the year, any one of the 3 organizations had excess funds over and above what they spent, that their next budget should be cut. Because that would be adequate. And
Well, we did that.
I know. But the other thing too is like, what we consider activities or programs is exercise class, clothing, where they come together, the coloring.
Enrollment from Manhattan's coming up for our Medicare enrollment program.
I'm going to
But do they
interrupt you.
charge-
I'm
do
going
they
to interrupt
charge
you. I
for
call
that?
for question.
I don't know.
I'm going to call for the question because we
And
were on the
they-
discussion of a vote
they,
that I had proposed a motion. I'm going to interrupt you. And I call for question. Just take the vote.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I would move that we, at this time, distribute funding to the Sylvan Senior Center in the amount of $6,000 and Lincoln Senior Center in the amount of $8,000.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm wondering why you chose those amounts.
Because that's 50% of what they're asking for until we have a decision on exactly what we're willing to fund and what we're not willing to fund. I think that gets them funding and maybe more later, but I think we need to decide exactly what we're willing to pay for and what we're not willing to pay for.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
And the remainder of the money will be held within the.
That's correct.
Commissioners,
Very good. 'cause
There's
the
no
LCC,
distribution.
That's plenty.
Yeah.
The commissioners will be making the decision on what the funding will be from.
That's my question. Who's going to create this list of acceptable?
The commission.
Commissioners? Okay.
I think we need to say, we're gonna fund this, this, and this.
Another question. For 2017, we need to make that request from the LCCA.
I would say you make it to the LCCA, yes. I think you need to probably provide some proof to you for what
But I
they did
think-
not fund from your budget that is there.
With
They
that-
have the money.
With that, you might state that you will accept money from them, because that's where this all comes from this year, Mike. You stated in writing to all of us that you would not accept any money from them. Remember that?
We asked for money.
But that is because the LCCA brought the commission a budget that included their own expenses and 2 senior centers expenses. And we have distributed money the last 2 years that I've been on the commission for 2 budgets. And we have distributed money based on the fact that we were supplying that, knowing that the LCCA had intentions to pass that money through to these entities that have now not received it, both of them, not just this one.
And
The
they
LCCA also withheld money from the Lincoln Senior Center, who did not put in writing that they did not wish to participate in the hoops that have been provided by the LCCA for them.
The reason that no one received the amount of the budgets because they didn't receive enough tax money for the entire
That is
budget.
absolutely a fallacy because they have the money in the bank. Mr. Wallace just said that. They have the money in the bank. They
I
didn't
did not
distribute
say
it.
that.
They're spending it.
You did just say they have the money in the bank.
It's been
I said they
spent
have
down
money. I
to, it's
didn't
been
say-
spent down to below 70,000 so far.
That is still not 50% of an operational budget,
No, but
which is
there's-
what was the suggestion by
But they're
Mr.
spending
Wallace.
it down and they didn't receive any second half distribution.
Well, it's my understanding, I watched the last meeting of the LCCA, they've now reduced the hours that they're paying out to 30, and they don't have to supply benefits.
That's because
So-
they're anticipating getting less and less money.
So that's fine. They still have an excess of 100% of their budget in the bank.
They haven't received anything either.
That doesn't have anything to do with retroactively paying the bills that they owe. They have
And
bills that they owe, and it's to these organizations.
Have they submitted it? Have they said we'll accept money from you?
Lincoln Senior Center never said that they wouldn't, so why was it withheld in the
Lincoln
first
Senior
place?
Center got 2 deep freezes, and I can't remember what else this year, besides their first part distribution.
Well,
You
you're
know, and
under
that's
the
That's the part that
assumption,
everybody looks at here. We've got this budget, and then all of a sudden we need 2 new deep freezes. But it ain't in the budget.
and it says in the bylaws and in the mill levy regulations for the LCCA that if you have additional expenses over and above your budget, that you may request that funding. So
That's
they are
correct.
not out of line in
And
those
that- And that's
requests.
part of the reason why they've held back, why they have money in CDs and stuff, is to make up for those expenses that weren't in the budget.
That has been accumulating in a positive growth chart for 5 to 10 years. So there's no way that they've been accumulating that money to spend it. They've been saving it and hoarding it, and it hasn't been spent. Yet we continue to approve their budget that comes before us, and we continue to tax the taxpayers and then move that money into a savings account.
We did not approve their budget. We did not approve the budget on the senior centers because we provided funding for those 3 entities at about 55 to 60% of what they requested, so. Want to call for a vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your time.
That'll probably be, Don, we're at the first of
I
the month, are
am
we going
truly
to
genuinely
do
sorry
a,
that you've been subject to this, and that entire group has been
Are we
subject
going
to
to
such
do a
disorganization. It's a shame,
check
and it's an
distribution?
embarrassment to the county.
We will be doing a mid-nom if you want it included in the mid-nom.
I would suggest that we do include that in the mid-month, so Sylvan gets her money as soon as they
In a
can.
couple of weeks, middle of the month.
We'll survive through that.
My question is, the 6,000 that was just approved for you, does that pay back the loan that you've taken out of your private account
I think we had
to
like
fund?
I think we had like 5,000 maybe.
So it does cover
I-
at least the loan that
Yeah.
you've
But
loaned
again,
yourself.
I'm not in favor of 100% funding.
You've never said that before this year, Terry.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have
Before
said
this
that.
year's budget, no. Last year, we approved the budget based on what the LCCA brought us, and they brought
But
us
it-
both senior
But
centers
it was
budgets.
not, and they stated that it was reduced from the amount that they submitted to the LCCA. Is that correct?
That's correct. And it wasn't reduced by us, but that's right. Also, now that we have funding coming, we will go ahead and get QuickBooks. We will track utilities, et cetera, everything down to the close as we can.
I guess, yes, I think we need to know exactly what your utilities, what they are.
Right. We'll get a
in
report.
preparation for next year, it looks to me like we need to follow as closely as we can the government, the way we do our budget, so we can see your cash on hand. And this is only your mill levy money.
Right.
The money that we distribute to you, and then what expenses are taken out of it. And if Don can provide you those forms. But that would help, I think, for even the public, if they come in and ask us, this is how much we gave you, this is how much you had, and your expenses that we will allow. And as I said, I think we need to make a list of things that we approve. And I don't mind paying a little towards somebody to coordinate that. I think that's part of the senior center. As Terry says, we just can't fund it all.
Right.
I mean, people are on us all the time to lower their taxes and
I have a quick question. Our end of the year will be the end of September, and then the new year starts in October. Do you want us to bring in our end of year report, because that's the way we said we do it?
I think I think that way we can see a year of
Well,
insurance.
with the understanding that
Yeah, I
you know,
understand
we-
each year. Yeah.
most of the stuff that has been paid for in this year has come from our account.
Yeah, I know that.
That's fine. The other thing is too, we won't have QuickBooks on this, so we
Yeah.
start.
Yeah, no.
So I have a
One.
clarification. Are we asking them to provide us documentation of what your overhead expenses have been for the past, 3 years or something like that?
Well, I just need the last year. I think we just need to see 1 year at a time so we can see what's going on.
And one thing too, to avoid confusion, disbursement of the money is on a calendar basis. We're on a fiscal. I would rather see us report also on a calendar to you, like December 31st.
Don, is there some reason that they're that way?
Both senior center, Lincoln and Sylvan.
Is it because of
Well, I think
the
Lincoln's on
federal
the
government?
Lincoln's on the calendar here.
I
I
have,
don't think so.
but when I mail out the treasurer's annual reports, I do it for calendar year.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, it would be easier if we did calendar years too.
Okay.
I agree.
I would like to have our reports December 31st to you. The reports for the LC, or to the Sylvan Senior Center will be their fiscal.
I think it would be a lot easier for us to budget.
I think some of it comes from Manhattan, because Manhattan's on, their new year
Yeah.
starts in
Yeah,
October.
well, part of it
Because
too,
of their
federal
funding
government.
is
It's
state and
federal.
federal.
It's
Okay.
part of it too is when you file for a corporation, you declare when you want to start. And it was declared October 1 on ours.
So would we
Can
have
you
to go
change
back
that
and
one?
change it?
I don't know if you can change it. It's easier not to, probably. I mean, you have to go through the IRS.
I don't understand that.
Well, I wouldn't go to a lot of trouble.
But we can give you the reports annually. All right. Do you have any other further questions for us?
No.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your patience.
If anybody's in our neighborhood, we will have our meeting next Tuesday, and you're welcome to come.
Is it easy?
I would have an apple pie.
I'll make sure you'll have it.
I probably won't be there. In fact, I've got a meeting
tomorrow.
on Tuesday.
If it rains, he might be there.
Yeah.
We have,
I got an apple tree right across the road. I can run across and
Okay.
pick some.
at our last meeting, we decided to have our summary sessions in the evening and our winter sessions be at noon.
Very good.
Our meetings. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Don.
So if the commission is going to create its own set of mill levy regulations in order to qualify for the mill levy for the elderly funds, I would suggest that we get some legal advice on looking at those resolutions, because there was a vote to the public passed what was on the ballot. We do not have the authority to supersede that. No matter how we spend the money, if we create regulations, it has to be in accordance with what the public voted for, because this is a publicly instituted vote. Just like we can't take the public vote of economic development money and spend it on the human resource position, we can't take the mill levy money from the elderly and spend it for something that the public did not agree to. So I would suggest that we get some legal advice.
I don't think we're gonna do a resolution. I think we're just gonna develop some guidelines.
Regardless, that's what I'm saying. It is a legal issue. It was passed by resolution. It's registered with the clerk of courts. It's registered with the clerk's office.
I think it's been reviewed a couple of times, hasn't it? by a couple
I've never
different
seen
attorneys.
I've never seen an opinion from the commission.
I think Krangle issued an opinion. I think that there was an attorney out of Ellsworth, I believe it was, that issued an opinion on it.
Yes, the Council on Aging has spent thousands and thousands of dollars on attorneys over this, but the commission has never addressed it. So if we are going to create our own policy, our own regulations, I believe we need our own legal guidance to look at that. And to decide, is it even legal to continue taxing for the first mill levy when we don't even have the resolution? We don't even physically have it. I move to seek legal opinion on the mill levy, public vote for services for the elderly. In order to prepare commission guidelines.
Do we have a second?
Yes, I'll need a second because I want to know who we're seeking.
I would assume that the county attorney should be responsible for this because she has an obligation to be our counsel. And once she issues an official opinion, then when we make a decision, we're legally protected in that decision. And she defends us. She is, by statute,
So
our legal defense.
you're asking for our legal counsel, not for the Attorney General or some other.
For Jennifer O'Hare to issue an actual opinion, which I've never seen one from her if she has in situations prior.
Opinion on what?
Exactly what I said in the motion.
And I'll let you public vote for services for the elderly to prepare commission guidelines.
Thank
You want an opinion on the resolution, right?
Yes, what was publicly voted on, so that we can distribute the money according to what the public voted on, not according to something that we make up ourselves. I would also like her to look at the fact that we don't have one of the 3 resolutions. We don't have it in our possession. Are we legally able to tax the public for something that we don't physically have? I'm not sure that that's even legal.
Do we have a copy of the ballot that it was voted on?
No, there's nothing on record except for in the newspaper.
I think it's one of those that the statute allowed for, so,
That,
but we don't know because if they've all been repealed or.
didn't that last one say that it was up to 2 meals? It didn't add on, did it?
Yes, it did. It was 1 meal, then it was a half, and an additional half.
I think it says up to. Do we have a second?
He already seconded.
Oh, are we done discussing? If so, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Is there any other business to come before the board? If not, we'll adjourn.
Well, you want to
Until
recess? or-
2 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be an exec though, right?
Right.
So,
Special meeting, do we call it?
yeah.
We haven't, but we can call a special meeting.
I don't know. Is that what we had on the 20th, or whatever the date that was?
No, we
just
recessed.
recessed.
Oh, that was our end of the month meeting though. Okay. So recess until 2 p.m.
Yep. You're welcome to come back, but we're gonna go into executive session to do the interviews.